All right, so we will just need a couple blocks today, and we're going to start lying down with the block on under the sacrum. All right. And you can always use lying flat. That's another option. And whatever height of the block is going to work for you, maybe the lower, maybe a little bit higher. And you can also start with a little bit lower height. Let the front of the hip joints get a little open and settled in, and then maybe try a higher height of the block. As we put the block under the legs, lifting up. Pelvis landing on the block. Take a couple of breaths, just being easeful. Feeling the weight of that pelvis into the block, into the floor, the shoulders into the floor. And then sliding the legs out to straight, opening up the front of the hip joints. Inhaling up into the lower belly, exhale, pouring down through the legs. You can take your hands on the block near your waist, giving a push there, getting a little traction. You can keep the hands there on the block if you like, or bringing them down alongside. Give the upper arms a roll out, so it's like you would turn the palms up to the ceiling. But we can keep those upper arms rolling out and then turn the lower arms back down, palms to the floor. And cooperating gently with the block, bringing those legs into parallel, hip distance apart or right together, really reaching through the heels, pulling up through the abdominal muscles towards your head, gently stretching yourself over the block. And we will take a few more breaths here. And then bending the knees, lifting up off the block, taking that out, rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, landing on the floor. And then let's take our block back and probably on the narrowest distance, putting that block between the knees. But just see what's the hip distance for your legs, which thickness of the block works better for that. I'm giving that block a squeeze. Bringing those arms alongside, holding on to the block as you scoop up into the bridge pose, pressing the feet into the floor. With the upper arms another roll out, maybe interlocking the fingers. And then a little gentle squeeze of that block, keeping those legs very parallel, making the inner thighs work a little more, and breathing here. Let's see if even with all that work going on to hold ourselves up here, you can still feel the length down the front of the body. And then rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, landing on the floor. Inhale and exhale. And we will take that block out, pull the knees into the nose, rounding in. And we'll do a few rolling like the balls up to sitting. So if rolling all the way up and down, this is going to work for your spine. You can be here on the floor, just doing a little rounding and squinging. Otherwise, rolling up and down. Really contract into those abdominal muscles to round you down. And maybe about four or so of these. More. Maybe I shouldn't talk too much today. I think this was 4. And then here we are sitting. And let's sit in the cross legs, Katasana. And as usual, using those arms alongside, lengthening up, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. And slowly releasing with the arms, letting the hands rest on the knees. Inhale and exhale, pouring down the sides of the neck off the tops of the shoulders. Lengthening up through the center line off the top of the head. Letting go of the rest of the day. Just be here now in your body with your breath. And then reaching out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Breathing the arms up. And breathing them down. Let's do that twice more. And then hands on the knees, lifting up that upper chest, and we're going to ripple. So a little bit like we did on Monday, but a little simpler as we reach forward through the collarbones and then contract and round and ripple ourselves up. So let's do that 4 times. Inhaling and exhaling 1 or 2 breaths. And once we've done 4, we're going to extend our legs straight out in front and into the forward bend. And then we ripple up, we slide the legs out, and so do 1 more ripple forward to pour over those legs. You can have the hands on the legs, the floor, maybe pushing from behind. Breathing into the back of the knees. And coming up, changing the cross of the legs. And then let's reverse our ripple. rounding back, and then diving forward and leading forward and up with the collarbone. So let's do that 4 times. Round and scooping up. And then we will finish with that rippling slide the legs out and pouring out over the legs in Paschimottanasana, the forward bend. Wherever your body can and wants to go at this moment. And coming up. And sitting here in Dandasana with our legs extended, let's breathe the arms up, interlocking the fingers, give the elbows a pull, pressing up, rounding down, trying your best to make a right angle there in the hips, pressing the backs of the legs toward the floor, even if they have a bend in the knees, reaching through the heels, reaching up through the arms. So we're sort of doing downward facing dog in a different orientation to gravity. Slowly release those hands, holding an invisible block for a moment. And then bringing the arms down, bringing the legs in, and we will come up in downward facing dog. And walking the dog or anything else you want to do there. And then finishing up with whatever you're doing to be in the best downward facing dog you can do at this moment. Nothing moving but the breath. Inhaling up to those sitting bones. Exhale, pouring down the backs of the legs. And lengthening forward to the plank, long and flat against the ceiling. Just a couple more breaths here. And then we'll set those knees down on all fours. And Asta Namaskar, knees, chest, chin to the cobra. Hinging back. We'll bend to the elbows, pulling the shoulders forward while those hips are still trying to pull back. Shoulders down toward the fingertips. Maybe lifting those hips a little higher. And sliding out into the small cobra, working the upper back. And then lengthening down, elbows back, top of the head forward. And 3 small cobras. Lengthening up, lengthening down. Twice more. And then let's bring the arms forward into the Sphinx, coming up a little higher, a little more spaciously. Inhaling up the front of the body, exhale, pouring down the back and out the legs. And then let's go for straight arms. So maybe you need to walk your hands forward to get the arms straight, or maybe you need to make the hands a little wider. You can do that. So a little bit longer and more spacious cobra. And calming down, taking a couple breaths here, forehead on the hands. And then healing yourself back up, double cat and cow ripples to downward facing dog. Inhaling up to those sitting bones, exhale, pouring down the backs of the legs. And then we'll go through the vinyasa, any version you want to do. Forward to the plank, chaturanga, maybe on the knees, upward facing dog, downward facing dog, or any interpretation thereof. And let's lift our right leg up, reaching long through that right heel. And dog at the high fire hydrant, holding that left leg nice and steady as we bend the right. And through to the lunge. And we'll bring our left knee down and Janashirsasana, come. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then twisting to the right, arms parallel to the floor. And then hooking the left arm over the right outer leg, pull a little wider. And bringing the right hand around to Namaste. Trying to pull the shoulders down and back. And Namaste in the center. And straighten up that left leg. And getting steady there on the legs. And we'll come up in the high lunge. Or it could be the warrior one. And nice and simple like that. And then just Namaste in front. And we will step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Pouring over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. And let's come all the way around to Namaste. And then we'll do the flamingo. So there's different flamingos, but we're doing the one I did with the inner foot on the inner leg. So we bring our right thigh up, and then you fold the shin back so the inside of the right foot is on the inside of the left leg, and you kind of squeeze those together a little bit very gently. And then feeling the inner thigh squeezing into the center line. And we'll breathe the arms up overhead, two long parallel sides. And reaching the right leg down as we reach up a little higher. And then into that front body yawn. And diving over. Concave back halfway up, folding over. Vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. All right, and then we'll just do that around on the left. Let's lift the left leg up. And bending that left knee, dog at the high fire hydrant, nice steady right leg. And through to the lunge. Bring the right knee down, coming up in Janashirsasana, kneeling lunge. Twisting to the left, arms parallel to the floor. Hook that right arm over, stretch a little more. And bringing the left hand around into Namaste, trying to pull those shoulders down and back. And to the center. Straightening up that right leg. Getting set there on your feet as we come up in the high lunge. And breathing here. And hands to Namaste in front. And stepping forward. Into the concave back halfway up. Folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down and around to Namaste. And then we will flamingo up our left leg. So pulling that left thigh up. And we bend the shin, inner left foot on the inner right thigh. We're feeling a drawing in against the center line. Reaching down through the right leg and up through the top of the head. And then breathing those arms up overhead, two long parallel lines. Reaching up a little more to reach that left foot down. Front body yawn. And coming over. Concave back, folding over, and let's move Katasana, the chair pose. Bend the knees, pull the hips back as we reach up and forward with the upper arms. Really work that upper back like the cobra, pulling those arms up. If that's too heavy with the arms by the ears, you can bring the arms straight in front. Shoulder blades strong into the back, down to the sitting bones. And then releasing over again. And we will make our way back to downward facing dog. Concave back, folding over. And through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. Lifting the right leg. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. And let's do one big circle around with that right leg. Dropping the knee forward, out to the parallel side, all the way back up and over, and through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. Could be the high lunge again now. Big circle of breath. Namaste in the front. And hands to the floor. Stepping back, and we'll do the same thing on the left. Lifting the left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. One circling around with that left leg. Knee forward, side, and up and over. Through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. Breathing here, feeling that little bridge pose action, like that pelvis is trying to bridge pose and stretch over the block. And namaste in front. And into the floor. Stepping back, and we'll lift the right leg up. And this time, as we go to fire hydrant dog, let's take 3 circles around. Knee forward, side, up and open. Through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. Let's do the circle around with the arms this time, bringing those arms all the way around and back up overhead. Namaste into the center and into the floor. Same thing, left, stepping back, lifting the left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. And then 3 circles around. And finishing with that through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. And circling those arms all the way around. Namaste in front. and into the floor. Stepping back to the plank and through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. Three deep breaths here in our downward facing dog. Looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. And then coming to Katasana from underneath again. Pulling the hips back, lifting up in that upper body. And then we will flamingo from here with the whole bird wing part added on. So taking those arms around, hands to the hips. So don't let the elbows just kind of flop. Pull the elbows wide and back in our short wings. And then we'll pick that right foot up, foot to the inside of the left leg, and then extend up, straightening the left leg. And then release the arms and fly. Maybe we can fly 3 times. And then bringing the hands to Namaste in front. And reaching the right foot into the floor. Inhale and exhale to Katasana. And then big front body going. And this time we'll go to our Utkatasana chair pose from here. Pulling the hips back. Now we just have to keep that upper body lifted instead of lifting it. And a big reach around with the arms, making your short wings, pulling out and back with the elbows. And then we'll pick up the left foot, foot on the inside of the right leg, and we will straighten up. And then flying maybe 3 times. And coming to Namaste in front. And then reaching that left foot down for the floor. Tadasana, Namaste, steadiness. Releasing the hands. Taking a couple circles with the shoulders. 3, 2, 1. Going the other direction. 1. And then one more front to the back. Interlocking the fingers, pulling those upper arms together, back to the hands pouring down, lifting the chest to lift the chin. And then coming over, pressing up through the arm. Releasing the hands, and then a little concave back, halfway up, and we'll make our way back to downward facing dog through the vinyasa or not. Downward facing dog. And then let's bend the knees, coming down, sitting on the heels in simplified Virasana. However you need to do this, maybe with the hands on the floor. And reaching back through the shins, reaching down through the top of the thighs. So even if you lean forward and you're here, you can still do all that reaching through the shins and thighs. Works just the same energetically. Even long through the top of the head works the same, but just going on the diagonal. And then we will ascend, coming up onto your knees. If you can just ascend and lift, doing that, but using the hands for assistance if needed. All right, coming up, two long parallel sides. Ustrasana, the camel pose, the front body yawn, hands coming around to the sacrum, sliding down where that block was. Fingers and hands encouraging those sitting bones to pour down the back of the thighs. And then there's a little drawing up the back of the thighs to meet that as well. And lengthening back up through the top of the head. Bringing the arms back up, two long parallel sides, reaching down through the knees, and we will descend. Again, using the arms to help as needed. Inhale and exhale. And let's do that once more. Ascending, coming up onto your knees. Ustrasana, the camel pose. If you want to go for the heels this time, go ahead. The hands on the sacrum is fine. And if you've got the heels, still try to pour down that sacrum, sitting bones going down the thighs. And then that little feeling of the back of the thighs coming up to meet the sitting bones. And then coming back up, bringing the arms up, two long parallel sides, and descending. Inhale and exhale, and then we'll all lean forward onto our hands or maybe up onto all fours to do a little cat and cow. Push the hands away, pull them toward you here, getting a little more intensity. Finishing with that, coming back up. And then we'll sit off onto the right hip so I'm not the mirror as I go into this, and extend the left leg out. I'm now going to go to the center of the mat and be the mirror. So this is my right leg bent, left leg straight. So we're in the Janashirsasana, half dragonfly position, somewhere at the back of the mat. You can adjust the angle for yourself as needed. Long through the top of the head, reaching from the knee out that left heel, and then coming forward. Coming back up. And then you're going to twist to the right, towards your bent leg, toward the back of the mat. Reaching out through that left heel toward the front. And then taking that right arm around into the half binding, walking it through the crease of the hip joint as far as you can go. You might possibly be able to get to the foot if you twist a lot and or have long arms. And then really holding that twisting to the right, putting the left hand onto the left leg, and then sliding out with that left arm. So I'm really doing a lot of resistance with that half binding on the right. So you probably will not get over as far as you might with our right arm up over the ear. Just going where you can go and deepening there. And then coming back up, keeping that half binding facing the center, letting that head kind of hang off to the left as you come up. Nice stretch on the left side of the neck. And then rolling the head down and forward and over to the right, carrying it up and over. And we'll do that 3 more times, circling around. To the left, center, right, up and over, making lots of space in the neck, not grinding down. And once more around. And then we'll finish in the center. Releasing that right arm and lengthening up, lifting the chest to lift the chin. Inhale and exhale. And then we just retrieve that right leg or left leg, coming back up onto our simplified Virasana. My brain's trying to figure out where I am since I was being in there. So let me go back to this back of the mat here where I was. All right, and now we're going to sit off onto the left hip and extend the right leg out straight. And I'm once again shifting around to be the mirror. I hope we're all not too confused. And of course, the important thing is you do one side and then the other. So as you come into this half dragonfly, just assess that it is in fact the other side. Left leg bent, right leg straight. And then we will come forward. And calming up. All right, and then we will twist to the left toward our bent leg, which is probably your back of the mat. Inhaling and exhaling. Reaching out through the right leg out the inner heel. And then we'll reach around with the left arm into the half binding. Walking that left hand through the crease of that right hip joint as far as it'll go. It might be able to find the left foot. Deepening into that twist. And we'll take the right hand, putting it on the right leg behind us. Twist a little more to the left as we reach out with that right arm, sliding along the right leg. And we're resisting as we try to twist up into the left. And arriving someplace, trying to breathe, both pulling over the right leg and pulling up and away from the right leg. And then coming up, keeping that half binding, and we let that head kind of keep tilted to the right there as we come up. Big stretch down the left side of the neck. And then slowly bringing the head down and front and around to the left. And up and over. And then 3 more times around. Big spacious circle, lengthening out the neck. Keep breathing. And then we'll finish with the head down and center. And releasing the binding. Lengthening up, lifting the chin. Inhale and exhale. And retrieving that right leg. And here we are in simplified Virasana at the back of the mat. Breathing here. And then let's expand up into downward facing dog, being a stretchy dog. Big yawn in the backs of the legs. And then come down onto all fours. And then we will just kind of scoot ourselves around and we will make our way back down to the floor. Lying down on our back. Somehow made that way more complicated, I think, than it needed to be. But here we all are. Breathing, melting into the floor. And let's pull the knees into the chest, knees to the nose, squeezing into a little ball. Maybe a little squinching side to side. And then toes together, knees out to the side, and floating Supta Baddha Konasana, holding onto your ankles or shins, or maybe your knees if that works better. Inhaling into the center of the body. Exhale, pouring out the inner thighs, out the knees. And let's extend the left leg out to straight, so we kind of have half dragonfly once again, but in the air. Reaching from that right knee to the left heel. Folding that left leg in, and then we'll extend the right leg out. Half dragonfly in the air, reaching from the left knee out the right heel. Folding that right leg back in. Setting the feet onto the floor, sliding them out to straight, coming into Shavasana. Holding the sides of the mat and pressing the arms down and away. Doing traction there, lots of length through the body, pulling the shoulder blades a little in and under. And releasing the hands, palms to the ceiling. Inhale and exhale. Every breath sinks you a little bit more into the floor, a little bit more inside yourself. And then breathing gently back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, circling the wrists and ankles. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bending the knees and gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. Oh,